have 7 minutes.
Yes, according to public records, the Minister of Finance met with SNC-Lavalin representatives after the... Actually, Mr. Chair, we are. I'm afraid, sorry to disappoint you, but we are getting into it. And I know you want to cover it up, but you're not going to cover it up.
Do you want to...
Actually, I have a button here, and you're not going to silence me. My job is to defend the accountability of Parliament. I am not going to be silenced by you or anyone else. You might have silenced Jody Wilson-Raybould, but you're not going to silence me.
Mr. Poilievre,
Mr. Liberal Chair, I do have the chair, Mr. Liberal Chair. Mr. Liberal Chair, I do have the floor, and I invite the parliamentary secretary to.
Get a technician in here to pull that mic at point of order, and then Mr. Massey, point of order.
Ironic, isn't it, that Mr. Sorbera only wants to talk about the tax treaty now? Because a moment ago he talked about numerous subjects that aren't in the treaty. He talked about unrelated tax policies. He talked about infrastructure projects. He talked about child benefits. He talked about a tax credit for workers. He talked about the small business tax rate. None of those things are in the treaty. And yet, Mr. Chair, you allowed them to be discussed without interruption. So it is very interesting that all of a sudden, now that the subject has become unfavorable to your party, you have slammed your gavel and behaved in a way that helps protect the Prime Minister's office.
What's your point of order?
My point is, if they can talk about things not in the treaty, I can talk about things not in the treaty.
The floor is yours, and if we can stick to that, it'll be great.
Well, the government and the committee are of the view that deferred prosecution agreements are a matter for this committee. That's why they put them in the budget, and that's why this committee was responsible for approving it. So we are on topic. The question I have here is, what was the purpose of the minister meeting with SNC-Lavalin when he did so? Actually, it's in order because it's my time, and I will ask the questions I choose to ask. I will ask the questions that I choose to ask. Actually, sorry, I have a point of order.
No, he has a point.
I'm afraid, Mr. Chair, you're mistaken. I have the floor.
No,
I have a point of order, and my point of order. I have the floor.
Can you cut his mic?
The point of my intervention is this: the government has said that this is a finance. That's why they put it in the budget, and therefore it is the job of the Finance Committee to ask questions of the Finance Minister in relation to his interventions on the matter.
Meeting suspended.
I am asking.
I suspend the meeting.
There you go.
We're not going to have...